Hi everyone, Michel here with yet another market update for Q1 of 2024. Now we have seen that the government has come out with a bunch of incentives. They have declared a crisis in the construction sector. And so let's have a quick look at what those incentives are and have they had any effect whatsoever on the Luxembourg real estate market. So let's go, let's dive right into it. So here we are in Q1 of 2024. We have left 2023 behind us and we hope to never see that situation again. So thank God we have now a new Prime Minister, Mr. Frieden, who has understood that the situation is dire. They have declared a crisis in the construction business here in Luxembourg. So basically, they understood the situation has to be handled and they have come out with a bunch of incentives. Now, the most important one for you as buyers is that your tax credit is going up from 30K, which was the situation last year, up to 40K per person if you buy it for your own personal use. That is a great incentive because if you are a couple, that means that you will have double that amount, so 80K. Now you would have to buy a very expensive property in order to completely amortize that budget. It basically means that you probably do not have any kind of costs when it comes to the transaction and registration fees when you purchase a property. Next up, there is a reduced tax rate on value add, right? So if you buy something and you sell it at a later date for more money, not your own primary residence, of course, you would have to pay taxes. Those taxes used to be 20%, going down now to 10%. That only lasts this year. It is gone by January 1st, 2025. All right, now the next one is also for investors, and it is quite interesting because if you want to invest, not only can you also have a tax credit of 10K per transaction, but you can also use the amortissement accéléré. That means that you can amortize, is that a correct way of saying it, your property at a, the 6% rate? Correct, but it's also capped at 250K. Effectively, that means that you can make profit without making any profit and not pay taxes on it, which is a great incentive actually for anyone who is buying new property because it doesn't work on all the buildings, of course. So this is a great incentive to get new investors into the Luxembourg real estate and also help those developers get rid of their properties. So we're moving in the right direction here. There are, as I can also see, a bunch of things that are coupled together. So they also want to stimulate the social housing and basically convince investors to give it to a social housing company to put it up for rent and thereby also reducing taxes. And the government has also declared that they will, over the next 3 years, buy as many as 800 homes from the private market. And that is actually already happening. Not all developers can enjoy this benefit, but many, especially the big ones, have already sold off a lot of their project which they could not sell at all. And let's just keep in mind that they just made a smaller margin, but still made a profit. So it's getting good. We are going into the right direction here. But has this had any kind of repercussions on what buyers and sellers do? Now, all of these incentives are great and they do help. We see that there are more buyers coming back again, especially those that want to buy homes for themselves, so not the investors. The investors will most likely go to the developer straight away because these tax incentives are just too good to be true. So let's just take advantage of them. But for you as private buyers and private sellers, the market has started to move again, but it's slow. It's like a train that tries to get out of that train station, but it just doesn't go fast. it goes rather slowly. So there's still properties just sitting still on the market. There are no showings. Especially if we look at certain areas in Luxembourg, the offers are just tremendous. So buyers are actually inundated with information and properties to choose from, and they are just picky. You buyers are really picky right now, and we can see it on a daily basis. There's a lot of showings happening again, which is great because in 2023 we didn't have that many, and if there were any showings, it was usually a very serious buyer who was also very interested in buying a property. But now we see that people are basically just like on their phone, they're scrolling and they're just checking some properties and let's do a showing, but we didn't really go to the bank, and well, we're interested, but we're just looking around. It's like this type of Sunday shopper, just trying to have a bit of a look at the real estate market without actually making any moves. So what we are in here is a stuck market. It still tries to move in a certain direction, but it's not quite happening. And that means, of course, that sellers are still lowering their price. So much so that buyers, which are coming onto the market just right now and go like, hey, maybe I should buy an apartment, house has become too big, let's see what's out there. And they look at apartments and they go like, wait, what? This is the price of an apartment, a 3-bedroom in the city? It used to be so much more expensive. Something's got to be up here. This has to be a bad property. Maybe there's like a leaky roof, no elevator. What's the deal here? And so they're kind of like, something's wrong with these properties. They are way too cheap. Yeah, I said it. Buyers are actually thinking that they are way too cheap. I know that they're not many. Most of you think, hey, this is really expensive stuff. I get it. But for some, it's almost shocking to see these prices if you haven't been looking at the market at all. And so we have buyers which are not ready to make decisions yet. We have sellers that almost cannot go any lower, or it would just be a steal for buyers to purchase their properties. So we are still moving slowly ahead, like I said now for the 3rd time, but it's getting better. The incentives, then, have they actually helped? Yes, fractionally, and just for a very, very small amount, they helped bring in more buyers into the market. But in my opinion, what actually did help is that the interest rates went down very slightly at 0.5, 0.7%. Depends, of course, on what bank you go to. But we think that actually the best thing that can happen now is that the interest rates will go lower. Now, you might or might not know this, but the Luxembourgish government is actually a major shareholder in almost all of the banks that do transactions here on Luxembourgish territory. And the government has already announced that it will try to put more pressure on banks to try to lower their rates considerably. Now, that means that once that rate drops down to a 2.9%, we might actually have a strong fire sale where properties move quickly and buyers need to make decisions much faster than they are doing right now. And that means that once more, we could move into the conditions that we saw pre-COVID. It will take probably another year, maybe 2, but for sure, we are moving in the right direction. Right, I hope that you enjoyed this market update. If you did, do not forget to put a little thumbs up under this video. Should you have any questions, leave a comment below. And of course, I hope to see you in the next video.